take a moment and try to imagine. What will glass buildings look like in 10, even 20 years? They're changing. There's no question about that. I'm Ellen Rogers, editor of U.S. Glass Magazine, and today we're taking a look at what the future may hold for glass facades. When GlassCon Global took place last month, many participants left with a lot to think about. One question was whether glass has reached its zenith in terms of innovation. Anthony Cinnamon with consulting firm With Elstner told us that when the question first came up, he thought maybe. He soon realized that's probably not the case.
When that question was first posed, I thought to myself, yeah, it sort of seems like glass is it's reached an apex a bit, but I think there's still quite a few technologies out there. For example, like the vacuum insulated glazing is something that, I think once you get it to a point where you could mass produce it, it's a bit of a game changer. So a lot of it I don't think necessarily has to do with the glass itself, but with how the glass is used, how it's put together, the coatings, things like that. But it's also intriguing, and I think it was touched on yesterday about, is there just a different way to produce the glass in general? And we talked about it this morning with, has the float, have we just been sort of married to the float line because that's what works? And no one's really looked at a different way to do it.
Facades are becoming more active, not just in terms of glass, but also other building components like lighting and shading. Helen Saunders with Sage Glass said that while future innovation may be limited for static glass, there is still a ways to go for dynamic facades.
I think from the static glass low-E perspective, we've reached that limit because physics unfortunately is getting in the way there. But from an active facade perspective, we've got more innovation to do. Certainly in dynamic glass, I see that basically evolving over time, just like low-E has done. So we have a ways to go there. I think if we think about our buildings with active facades, there is all the interconnectivity of systems for the Internet of Things, how you actually deliver the performance of active facades, integration into a full building management system. So I think there's a lot of innovation to come, both in product and also in process and how we deliver buildings.
We'll be right back to talk more about what the future may hold.
Plan to join us for Glass Expo Northeast 2017 taking place at our new venue in Huntington, New York. Register today for the best discounts. Don't miss your chance to be part of this important regional industry event. We'll see you in March at Glass Expo Northeast.
Another area that's seeing interest is in adaptive facades, those that can respond to their own environment. Stephen Selkowitz with Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory said that while these systems are still in their infancy in the U.S., there are a number of drivers pushing development.
I think it comes from a couple different directions. One is forced by codes and standards. That's in some sense, the easy one. It's a hard one, but it's sort of straightforward. What we're seeing is there's a lot of interest in more glazing to provide better work environments. But if you put more glass in to do that, then you need to manage it very carefully. You need to actually design it carefully. And that was one of the big themes in the meeting today, is how do you actually do that? If you simply put more glass in, it may look good in the photograph, but it's not going to perform the way that people want it to. So I think that recognition is driving some of the innovation. What do you do about that? Well, you go to active glazing, you go to active shading, you go to daylight dimming. You need to introduce a whole lot of new things into the design, and you need to make them work.
That wraps up today's newscast. Be sure and look to the August U.S. Glass Magazine to learn more about some of the other discussions from GlassCon Global. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Ellen Rogers.